Exodus chapter 1. A new king in Egypt. Verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin; Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were faithful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. All right, so there's a key verse. Chapter 1 through 5 says, see note on Genesis 46, 26, and 27. And I'm not going there right now. And there's a key for chapter 1, verse 6, which says, the word generation is used in a variety of ways in the scriptures. In some cases, it refers to an unspecified period of time, Psalm 102:24, while at other times it is used as a simple reference to the past, Isaiah 51:8, or the future, Psalm 100:5. It is also used to designate. It's also used to designate men who belong to a certain class in society. In this verse, it refers to all those in a particular class living at a designated time. And I'm also going to read the key for 1:8, which reads, the verse. Chapter 1, verse 8 says, now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. The key says, the expression arose over Egypt could be better translated arose against Egypt. This probably refers to the invasion of the Hyksos, a people related to the Hebrews who conquered Egypt. The Hyksos. Sorry, I'm still practicing how to talk. The Hyksos were never numerous, so the growing nation of Israel posed a threat to them. Exodus 1:9. This threat ultimately led the Hyksos rulers to enslave the Jews. When the Hyksos were later driven out, all of the hatred which the native Egyptians had for foreigners were focused on the Hebrews. Because the native Egyptians also feared they would become too numerous, they made the Israelite servitude more harsh, Exodus 1:13, and attempted to control the population by killing the male babies. See note on Exodus 1:17 through 20. Okay. We are at verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shipra. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And the name of the other, Pua. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. And there is a key for 1:17 through 20, which says, God has instituted civil government for the good of all people. Romans 13:1 through 5. Throughout Scripture, he instructs his people to be in submission to the powers of government. Ecclesiastes 8:2, 1 Peter 2:13 and 14. However, the government were not granted the right to compel men to do things which are contrary to God's law. Daniel 3:16 and 18, Acts 4:19, Acts 5:29. The question arises here whether the midwives were blessed for lying and refusing obedience to the king. The fact was that God blessed the midwives not for their lying, but for their obedience to God. See note on Joshua 2:1. All right, so the scripture verse for Joshua 2:1 is, and Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. The key in the King James Version Study Bible for that scripture I just read, Joshua 2:1, says, some have tried to render this passage the house of a woman, or house of an innkeeper, but the translation, harlot's house, is the correct one. The Hebrew term zana 2181 is the common word for an adulterer or prostitute. Leviticus 21:7 and Jeremiah 5:7. Both the Old and New Testaments affirm that such a woman can be pardoned. Luke 7:37. Rahab was not only pardoned, but raised to a position of honor. She married into an Israelite family and was blessed by being the ancestor of David. Ruth 4:21 and 22. Thus placing her in the line of Jesus, the Messiah. Matthew 1:5. Moreover, she is enshrined in the New Testament Hall of Faith, that's in quotation marks, Hebrew 11:31, James 2:25. It was not unusual for strangers and foreigners to go to Rahab's house. Thus, the spies would not represent any unusual activity there, although the traffic through a harlot's house would provide information on the local situation. Rahab is another case in which God did not bless someone for lying, but for her faith in the report that the spies gave. See note on Exodus 1:17 through 20. Note that in this case, as well as in Exodus, the issue was the loss of human life.